My mother-in-law called me infertile. My wife supported her, so I divorced her and married her cousin. Now, I'm a father to twins. I never expected to be discussing my life story on Reddit, yet here I am, desperate for guidance from strangers on the internet. I'm a 35-year-old man, and my life has transformed into a soap opera that I never signed up for. Let me start at the beginning. I met my wife, Evelyn, in our second year of college. We were both studying business and ended up doing the same group project for our marketing class. Evelyn was a whirlwind of enthusiasm and drive. She had her entire life planned out: graduate with honors, get a position at a top firm, advance up the corporate ladder, and eventually start her own business. I was more of a go-with-the-flow type of person, but her determination encouraged me. We began dating a few months later, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I had a purpose. Evelyn motivated me to be better and seek more for myself. We graduated together and both got decent entry-level jobs at competitive organizations. The first few years were difficult: long hours, tight money, and little time together, but we made it work. 3 years into our relationship, I proposed. I had been saving for months to purchase the right ring. I had planned a romantic evening that included a gourmet dinner, a walk in the park where we shared our first kiss, and then proposing under the stars. But life had different plans. Evelyn contacted me in tears on the day I planned to propose. She'd been passed over for a promotion she'd been pursuing for months. She was heartbroken, questioning her job choices and personal value. I canceled my elaborate plan and instead arrived at her place with her favorite takeout and a bottle of wine. As we sat on her tiny balcony, commiserating about the unfairness of corporate life, I realized there would never be a better time. I pulled out the ring and asked her to marry me right there, in our work clothes and surrounded by empty takeout containers. Evelyn agreed, and everything seemed perfect for a little moment. Then came wedding planning, which marked my first genuine interaction with Karen, Evelyn's mother. I'd met Karen a few times previously, but she was always in groups and on her best behavior. Karen's real colors emerged when she began to prepare her only daughter's wedding. Nothing was ever good enough. The space was too small, the cuisine was too exotic, and the music was too contemporary. She questioned every decision we made, from the color of the tablecloths to the design of my tuxedo. Evelyn attempted to mediate, but it was evident she was straining to stand up to her mother. The breaking point came when Karen insisted on inviting Evelyn's ex-boyfriend, Tom. Apparently, Tom's parents were longtime family friends, and it would be impolite not to include them. I put my foot down, and to my amazement, Evelyn supported me. It was the first time I had seen her truly stand up to her mother, and I was proud of her. The wedding event was stunning, despite Karen's best efforts to micromanage every detail. Evelyn was radiant, and as we exchanged vows, I honestly believed we could face whatever life threw at us. The first few years of our marriage went well. We both advanced in our careers, purchased a small home in the suburbs, and began discussing having children. Evelyn wanted to wait until we were more financially secure, and I understood. We were doing well, but children are expensive, and Evelyn had huge hopes for her career. Around our 5th wedding anniversary, I started to feel ready for fatherhood. My brother had recently had his second child, and seeing him with his children sparked something in me. I brought up the matter with Evelyn, but she was hesitant. She was up for a significant promotion and didn't want to risk it with a pregnancy. I tried to remain patient, but as another year passed, I couldn't stop feeling that our lives were on hold. We had many discussions about the best time to have a kid, but there was always another excuse to postpone: a major project at work, a scheduled vacation, or a potential career change. Finally, 2 years ago, Evelyn agreed it was time. We were equally enthusiastic, visualizing nursery colors and discussing baby names. However, as months passed without a positive pregnancy test, our excitement turned to concern. After a year of trying, we decided to consult a reproductive doctor. The doctor suggested that we both get tested to rule out any problems. I went for my testing right away, ready to get the results. My findings came back normal, which was a relief, but it also put more pressure on Evelyn. However, Evelyn continued to postpone her appointments. At first, it seemed understandable. She had a huge presentation at work, and then she got the flu. However, as the weeks and months passed, I became increasingly agitated. Every time I mentioned it, Evelyn would become defensive or shift the conversation. That's when Karen became involved. She'd phoned Evelyn repeatedly to see if there was any news. When Evelyn visited her parents, she returned home unhappy, claiming Karen had been pressing her about grandkids. I tried to be supportive, but I couldn't help but feel Evelyn was allowing her mother to have too much control over our life. Things came to a head last Thanksgiving. We were in Karen's home, surrounded by family. Karen had been drinking wine all day and was in excellent form. She began talking about how all of her friends were becoming grandparents and how she was starting to feel left out. Then she looked at me and said, "It's a shame Evelyn married someone who can't have children. I've always known you weren't man enough." The room became silent. I felt as though I had been slapped. Evelyn simply sat there, staring at her plate. I attempted to explain that we were still trying and that these things take time, but Karen refused to give up. She kept making barbs at my masculinity, saying Evelyn should have married Tom instead. At least he came from a good family. I could not handle it anymore. All of the frustration from the previous year spilled out. I stood up and informed everyone at the table that I was not the problem. My fertility test had come back normal. Evelyn hadn't even bothered getting tested yet. The aftermath was unpleasant. Evelyn was furious with me for breaching her confidence, and Karen was on a rampage, calling me every term in the book. I left the house and spent the night at a motel, trying to figure out what went wrong. Evelyn remained unhappy when I returned home the next day. She accused me of embarrassing her in front of her relatives. I attempted to explain that I couldn't bear being blamed and chastised for something I didn't do, but she didn't listen. Things have remained tight ever since. Evelyn is still refusing to be tested, and she is now giving me the cold shoulder. Karen has been phoning and messaging nonstop, asking that I apologize to Evelyn and her. I disabled her phone number, but she keeps finding new ways to bother me. I do not know what to do. I adore Evelyn, but I'm beginning to wonder if we want the same things in life. I feel as if I'm constantly walking on eggshells, trying not to offend her or arouse Karen's fury. To make matters more confusing, Evelyn's cousin, Emma, contacted me yesterday. Emma and I had always gotten along great. She's a few years younger than us and has always been the family's black sheep, opting to become a teacher rather than work in the family business like Evelyn. Emma claimed she overheard what occurred on Thanksgiving and wanted to make sure I was okay. We ended up speaking for hours. It was wonderful to have someone on my side for once, someone who understood how controlling Karen could be. Now I'm at a crossroads. Part of me wants to fight for my marriage, to show Evelyn how destructive her relationship with her mother is. But another part of me wonders if it's time to cut my losses. I'm 35 years old and wish to become a father. I don't want to wake up at 45, resentful and childless, resenting Evelyn for denying me the opportunity to start a family. I never imagined I would be in this position. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Am I wrong for defending myself? Should I have remained silent and let Karen continue to berate me? How do I persuade Evelyn that her mother's behavior is harming our marriage? Update 1. It's been a month since my first post, and to say a lot has happened is an understatement. I would like to thank everyone for their advice and support. Your thoughts provided me with valuable perspective on my position. After reviewing your responses, I realized I needed to have a serious chat with Evelyn. I couldn't stay in this limbo, with unsaid tensions and resentments growing between us. I decided to take the day off work and asked Evelyn to do the same. I wanted us to have time to communicate without being distracted. That morning, I cooked Evelyn's favorite breakfast, blueberry pancakes with real maple syrup. When we initially got married, I used to do it every Sunday, but we eventually stopped finding time for those small gestures as life got busier. As we sat at our kitchen table with the familiar smell of pancakes in the air, I had a flicker of optimism that we might be able to reconnect. I began by apologizing for my outburst during Thanksgiving. I emphasized that while I regretted how I handled the situation, I couldn't apologize for the feelings that drove it. I told Evelyn how wounded I was by her silence, how I felt unsupported and blamed for something I didn't do. To my amazement, Evelyn broke down. Through her sobs, she admitted that she had been tested months earlier and discovered that she had some fertility concerns. She was hesitant to tell me because she feared I would abandon her. She had kept this secret for months, leading me to believe she was simply procrastinating on the examinations. I was surprised and disappointed that she had withheld this from me, but I tried to be understanding. I asked her why she believed I'd leave her over this, and her response crushed my heart. She stated that her mother always emphasized that a woman's worth was determined by her capacity to have children. Karen had pounded it into Evelyn's head that if she couldn't give her husband children, he would eventually leave her for someone who could. It was like a light bulb went off in my head. Many of Evelyn's actions over the last year now made sense. Her reluctance to take tests, her defensiveness whenever I mentioned children, her silence in the face of her mother's attacks on me. Everything stemmed from a deep-seated anxiety that she wasn't woman enough. We talked for hours that day, finally opening up to one another in a manner we hadn't in years. We agreed to begin couples counseling to improve our communication and assist Evelyn overcome some of the detrimental notions ingrained in her by her mother. We even began looking at adoption and IVF options, feeling like we were finally on the same page about our future. For a few weeks, things appeared to be improving. Our counseling sessions were going well, and Evelyn appeared more comfortable and happy than she had in months. We were reconnecting again, recovering the love that had been lost among the tension and bitterness. But then Karen became involved again. She somehow learned about Evelyn's fertility troubles. Evelyn's sister, who has always been a gossiper, may have leaked the information. Instead of being there for her kid during this tough time, Karen went on a tirade. She began calling me every day, leaving long, rambling voicemails blaming me for stressing Evelyn out and giving her fertility difficulties. She'd say things such as, "If you were a real man, you'd have given her a baby by now," adding, "I always knew you weren't good enough for her." I attempted to ban her number, but she simply used different phones to call. Then she began showing up at our house unannounced, requesting to talk with Evelyn alone. The first time it happened, I arrived home from work to find Evelyn crying on the couch and Karen pacing around our living room, yelling about how we needed to try harder, how Evelyn wasn't doing enough to fix herself. I asked Evelyn to create boundaries with her mother, but she always found an excuse. "That's just how Mom is," she'd explain. "She's just worried about me." It felt like we were right back where we started, with Evelyn unwilling to stand up to her mother and me feeling like an outsider in my own marriage. Things came to a head last week. I arrived home early from work, expecting to surprise Evelyn with tickets to a performance she had been longing to see. Instead, I stepped in and found Karen in our living room, reading over our personal documents. She said she was looking for our medical records since she didn't think Evelyn had fertility concerns. She assumed we were lying to cover up my shortcomings. I lost it. I told Karen to leave our home and keep out of our business. I informed her that her behavior was toxic and was ruining her relationship with her daughter. Instead of supporting me, Evelyn burst into tears, complaining that I was being too harsh on her mother. Evelyn and I got into a big fight that night after Karen left. I informed her that I couldn't keep living this way, with her mother continuously intruding in our life and Evelyn letting it happen. I said that I felt wedded to both of them, not just Evelyn. Evelyn accused me of being selfish and not seeing how painful this was for her. In the heat of the moment, I said something that I regret. I told Evelyn that if she couldn't stand up to her mother, she probably wasn't ready to be a mother herself. It was a low blow, and I realized it as soon as the words left my mouth. Evelyn slapped me and shut herself in our bedroom. I spent the night on the couch, feeling disoriented and bewildered. Evelyn had left the next morning. She left a note explaining that she was going to stay with her parents for a bit to clear her mind. It's been 5 days, and I still haven't heard from her. Karen, on the other hand, has been bombarding my phone with angry messages. She's telling everyone who will listen that I kicked Evelyn out and left her. Some of Evelyn's family have called and demanded to know why I'm abusing her. I feel as if I'm living in a warped other universe in which I'm the bad guy for desiring a healthy relationship with my wife. I'm at my wit's end. I love Evelyn, but I'm not sure I can keep going like this. The stress has an impact on my work. I've been preoccupied and unpleasant, and my supervisor has noticed. My health is also deteriorating. I've lost weight, am not sleeping well, and am continuously on edge. Emma has been a fantastic help throughout this. She's been checking in on me, bringing me meals, and listening when I need to scream. She knows family dynamics better than anyone because she grew up with them. She has told me stories of how they treated her when she opted to become a teacher rather than work in the family business. It has helped me better comprehend Evelyn's conduct, but it has also highlighted how deeply embedded these harmful behaviors are. I appreciate Emma's friendship, but I can't stop feeling bad about how close we've grown. There's nothing wrong going on, but I understand how it may appear to others, especially because Karen has painted me as the villain in all of this. I am considering asking Evelyn for a trial separation. I believe we both need some time to find out what we truly want and whether we can make this marriage work. But I'm afraid of what Karen will do if I offer it. I would not be surprised if she tried to turn the entire family against me. I never imagined I would be in this predicament. I've always felt that love was enough, that if you loved someone, you could overcome anything. Now I am not so sure. I feel like I'm drowning, and I'm not sure how to save myself, let alone my marriage. Any help on how to proceed would be greatly appreciated. How can I defend myself without fully burning bridges? Is there any chance for Evelyn and me, or am I only prolonging the inevitable? And how do I handle Karen's slander campaign against me? I'm feeling a little lost right now, so any advice would be appreciated. Update 2. It has been 3 months since my previous update, and my life has drastically changed. I'm still trying to digest all that has happened, but I'll do my best to update you all. After Evelyn departed, I attempted to give her some room. I figured that some time apart would help us both clear our minds and figure out what we truly wanted. But as the days passed into weeks, I knew something had profoundly shifted in our connection. During this period, I immersed myself in work and began seeing a therapist on my own. It was helping me acquire a better understanding of my marriage and my role in our troubles. I discovered that while Karen was a major issue, Evelyn and I had communication issues that existed prior to her meddling. Evelyn contacted me about a month after she had departed. She asked to meet at the cafe where we had our first date. I was optimistic that we could work things out, but that hope was swiftly dashed when I arrived. At the cafe, Evelyn was already present, seated at our old favorite table by the window. She appeared worn and unhappy, but there was a determination in her eyes that I had never seen before. We ordered our normal drinks, a latte for her and a black coffee for me, and it seemed like old times. But when Evelyn began talking, I realized this was not going to be the reunion I had hoped for. She informed me that she had been doing a lot of thinking and did not want to prolong our marriage. She stated that she believed we had different goals in life and that the stress of the previous few months had demonstrated that we were incompatible. I was stunned. I inquired about couples counseling and improving our communication skills, but Evelyn had already made her decision. She said that she wasn't ready for children and might never be. She understood how important being a father was to me and did not want to prevent me from pursuing it. What hurt the most was when she revealed that Karen had a significant influence on her decision. Apparently, Karen persuaded Evelyn that I was emotionally abusive and that she deserved better. Evelyn really apologized for allowing me to mistreat her for so long. It seemed as if she was repeating Karen's comments, and I didn't recognize the lady I had married. Evelyn handed me divorce papers that were previously signed. She claimed her lawyer would contact us about dividing our assets. Then she stood up and departed, leaving me sitting there with a cold coffee in the ruins of my marriage. The following several weeks were a blur. I poured myself into work, hoping to distract myself from the anguish. I stopped taking calls from Evelyn's family members because I was tired of defending myself against Karen's lies. My own family was supportive, but they resided across the country and were unable to provide much practical assistance. Emma was there for me through everything. She'd bring over takeout, force me to go for walks, and simply sit with me when I needed company. She understood the family dynamic in a way that no one else did, and it was reassuring to speak with someone who recognized how manipulative Karen could be. As I spent more time with Emma, I began to see her in a new light. She was nice, encouraging, and appeared to understand me in a way Evelyn never did. I found myself looking forward to our time together, and her presence made me feel lighter and happier. After a few too many beers one night, Emma confessed to having feelings for me for years. She claimed she never acted on them out of respect for Evelyn, but now that we were getting divorced, she couldn't keep it in any longer. I felt conflicted. Part of me thought it was too soon, that I should be mourning my marriage. But another part understood that Emma made me happier than I had been in a long time. We agreed to take things slowly, giving ourselves time to see whether this was genuine or just a reaction to all that had transpired. We began dating secretly. I understand that dating your soon-to-be ex-wife's cousin is unusual, but it felt natural. Emma understood my pain and history as no one else could. She encouraged me to continue going to therapy to work through my feelings about the divorce and my concerns about starting a new relationship. Of course, when Evelyn and Karen found out, chaos ensued. Karen began spreading accusations about me throughout the family, claiming I had been cheating on Evelyn with Emma all along. Some family members who had previously been sympathetic to me became chilly, believing Karen's lies. Evelyn was hurt and angry, accusing me of moving too fast. The irony of Evelyn being concerned about me moving on was not lost on me, given that she was the one who left and filed for divorce. But I had had enough of Karen and Evelyn controlling my life and happiness. I realize this update may make me sound like the evil guy, but I'm finally putting myself first. Emma and I are happy, and we are taking things one day at a time. The divorce is proceeding, and while it is difficult, I am feeling hopeful about the future for the first time in a long time. It's not the life I imagined for myself, but it might be the one I need. I'm learning to trust my own emotions and needs instead of continually attempting to please others. It is a work in progress, but I'm getting there. Update 3. It's been a year since my previous update, and it's been an eventful one. I couldn't have imagined where life would lead me, but I'm happier than I've been in a long time. The divorce was finalized 6 months ago. It was not easy. Karen attempted to fight it, claiming that I had been unfaithful during our marriage. Fortunately, my lawyer was able to refute these claims, and the judge saw through Karen's attempts to manipulate the proceedings. We eventually reached an agreement on a fair asset allocation, and I was able to keep the house. Emma and I are still together, and our bond has become even stronger. We moved in together 4 months ago, and it has been fantastic. She understands me in ways Evelyn never did, and we talk frankly about everything. We've had our hurdles, of course. Blending our lives hasn't always been easy, but we confront them all together. The biggest news, however, is Emma's pregnancy with twins. We found out a few months ago and are ecstatic. It's ironic, given Evelyn's fertility issues, but I suppose life has a way of surprising you. We weren't actively attempting, but we weren't stopping it either. When Emma handed me the positive test, I felt a combination of delight, excitement, and dread that I had never felt before. We're renovating the spare room into a nursery, and Emma has been reading every parenting book she can find. I am worried about becoming a father, especially with twins, but I am also excited. Emma's quiet confidence is encouraging. She continues telling me that we'll figure things out together. When we told our relatives about our pregnancy, their emotions were diverse. Emma's parents were overjoyed, but Karen went crazy. She began spreading further tales, claiming Emma had abducted me from Evelyn and trapped me with a pregnancy. It is ludicrous, but some people appeared to believe her. Evelyn's reaction was surprising. She contacted me directly for the first time since our divorce. She congratulated us, but simultaneously expressed her hurt. I understood her pain, and part of me felt guilty, but I also realized I couldn't live my life based on Evelyn's emotions any longer. We had a long, honest chat that provided us both with some closure. She stated that she had been unduly influenced by her mother and regretted how our relationship had ended. The pregnancy announcement appeared to be a wake-up call for Evelyn. She eventually stood up to Karen, urging her not to spread lies about me and Emma. It was too little, too late for our relationship, but I still appreciated it. Evelyn and I aren't buddies, but we're getting along better than I imagined. Karen attempted to stir trouble one final time. She showed up unannounced at our house, asking to speak with Emma. She attempted to persuade Emma that I would desert her and the babies just as I abandoned Evelyn. Emma, bless her heart, remained firm and urged Karen in no uncertain terms to get out of our lives. I am proud of Emma's handling of the matter. She's strong in a subtle way, always confident in herself and our relationship. It's a relief after years of walking on eggshells with Evelyn and Karen. As for me, I'm still in therapy, dealing with the difficulties from my marriage and preparing for fatherhood. I've reconnected with old pals who had drifted apart throughout my marriage, and I'm establishing a support network separate from Emma's family. Work is going great. I was promoted a few months back, which couldn't have happened at a better time given the infants on the way. Emma is taking a year off from teaching when the twins are born, and my increased pay will help us cover that. Looking back, everything has been a tumultuous ride. There were times when I believed my life was falling apart, but now I realize it was simply falling into place. Emma and I are thrilled to start our family, and I am looking forward to this new chapter in my life. I understand that this may not be the joyful ending that some people expected, but it is mine. Life does not always go as planned, But sometimes the unexpected turns take us exactly where we need to go. I am glad for the lessons I have learned, even the hard ones, and I look forward to the future with hope and optimism.